good evening to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on this event for Wednesday for another 1.5 hours of news from different parts of the country and beyond. Tonight's lineup is a blend of the good and the not so good, especially where feelers from one of Niger's neighboring countries is concerned. We shall give you details of that unpleasant and unfolding event which has put President Tinubu on his toes as ECOWAS chairman. As usual, stories tonight are treated with extra touch to serve you all perspectives of unfolding events in details. Among the not-so-good stories right here at home is the downing of tools by Nigerian doctors as Labour also wields its threat hammer in the same direction. The good news, however, is that efforts are already on to resolve matters. Now, remember yesterday's confrontation between DSS operatives and men of the Correctional Service over suspended CBN governor? We have an update. We shall go fashionista tonight as we shine the spotlight on the dress code of those we call distinguished and honorables. Our array of special reports have been specially treated to meet your viewing pleasure. For instance, can you guess what the daily prayer of a commercial driver would be, especially this period? There's a move by the University of Abuja aimed at ensuring that their products become self-reliant after graduation. That is worth emulating. It is a story worth looking forward to. In the same vein comes plans by FCT Authority to revive the transport system. From business to sports, there's much more to watch out for. So, sit tight, let's roll together up to the last minute, as the taste of the pudding is always in the eating. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and this is News Extra. Welcome. We begin with the crisis in Niger Republic. Members of Niger's Presidential Guard on Wednesday sealed off the residence and offices of President Mohamed Bazoum in an effort to block what has been described as a coup attempt in that country. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States, among others, have condemned the acts.
Security sources say Niger President Mohamed Bazoum was held inside the presidential palace in the capital Niamey, which has been blocked off by military vehicles. Reasons for the guards' behavior are yet to be known. However, officials close to the president and his family say everything is under control and talks are underway with the elite troops. President Bazoum was democratically elected in 2021, taking over the helm of affairs of one of Africa's poorest and most coup-prone countries. The West African state had experienced 4 coups since independence from France in 1960, as well as numerous other attempts on power. Meanwhile, the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have called for the release of President Mohamed Bazoum. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell also said he was very concerned about current events in Niamey and that Brussels condemns any attempts to destabilize the democracy and threaten the stability of Niger. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
And President Bola Tinubu warns that the leadership of ECOWAS will not accept any action that impedes the smooth functioning of legitimacy authority in Niger or any part of West Africa. President Tinubu, in a statement, says it should be quite clear to all players in the Republic of Niger that the leadership of the ECOWAS region and all lovers of democracy around the world will not tolerate any situation that incapacitates the democratically elected governance of the country. The chairperson of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government adds that the authority is closely monitoring the situation and developments in Niger and would do everything within its powers to ensure democracy is firmly planted, nurtured, well-rooted and thrives in our region. The president states that Niger stands firmly with the elected government in Niger and equally conveys the absolute resolve of leaders in the sub-region that the country shall not waver on its stand to defend and preserve constitutional order. Meanwhile, the ECOWAS Commission has condemned the attempt to seize power by force in the Republic of Niger. In a communique, the Commission called on all coup plotters to free the democratically elected president of the Republic immediately and without any condition. ECOWAS Commission and the international community also noted that it will hold all those involved in the plot responsible for the security and safety of President Mohamed Bazoum, his family members, the government and the general public. And the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on all actors involved in the coup attempt in Niger Republic to exercise restraint and ensure the protection of constitutional order. Adebola Brooksland Sunday reports that spokesperson to the UN scribe Stefan Dujarric stated this at a press conference in New York.
The Secretary General is following closely the situation in Niger. He condemns in the strongest terms any efforts to seize power by force and to undermine democratic governance, peace and stability in Niger. The Secretary General calls on all actors involved to exercise restraint and ensure the protection of constitutional order. The United Nations stands by the government and people of Niger.
Stefan Dujarric, spokesperson to the UN Secretary General, speaking on the development in Niger Republic. Meanwhile, the authority of ECOWAS heads of state and government under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu has deployed President of Benin Republic, Patrice Talon, on an immediate mission to Niger over the coup attempt in the country. This decision came after a meeting between President Tinubu and his counterpart from the Republic of Benin, who visited the Nigerian State House in Abuja. After the meeting, which lasted about 20 minutes, the two leaders revealed that the situation in the fellow West African country demands an urgent measure to check the excesses of non-state actors.
Of our neighbor and the military misbehaviors in that particular country, and that is what is here.
So are we seeing just an immediate one? Is it going to be an immediate action, or are you planning towards this?
He's going there now. It's on his way there.
Nous ne prenons la chose au sérieux et n'agissons rapidement. Je crois que
we have to use every necessary means to achieve constitutional order in Niger. We need to intervene quickly so that everything will end up in peace. When there is peace, we can correct anything without compounding or damaging the situation. And that is our first option, which we believe we are going to achieve soon next.
Republic of Niger has been in a tensed situation with members of Presidential Guard sealing off the residents and officers of President Mohamed Bazoum to block what has been described as a coup attempt in the country. Away from the coup attempt in Niger, Nigeria Labour Congress has given the federal government 1 week ultimatum to commence implementation of its demands or face a nationwide strike. The union issued the warning in a communique at the end of the Central Working Committee meeting held in Abuja. The communique signed by the President, Joseph Ajero, says the federal government has not complied with the committee in finding common ground for negotiations to provide succor to Nigerians in the face of the current economic realities. It calls for immediate reversal of recent hike in PMS price, increased public school fees, the release of 8-month withheld salary of university lecturers and workers, as well as increased VAT. Subsequently, NLC directs all its affiliates and state councils to embark on an industrial action beginning 2nd of August 2023 if government fails to comply with its demands. The leadership of the House of Representatives has promised to intervene for possible prevention of the industrial action planned by the Niger Labour Congress (NLC). Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, told State House correspondents about this plan when he led other principal officers of the 10th House of Representatives on a familiarization visit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The speaker was also at the State House a day earlier when he briefed the president on steps taken so far by the House to forestall a similar industrial action by members of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. Despite the intervention, the association has commenced an indefinite strike. But Speaker Abbas says the House will not relent on efforts to end the strike.
It's a work in progress. I'm sure some of the issues that they have raised, if we can be able to meet some of their expectations halfway, of which we are on it. We already set up another committee chaired by the majority leader of the House to look at those issues. I am sure one or two interventions in their areas of concern will prevail on them to come back to the negotiating table and also accept to withdraw that strike action.
Any immediate commitment from the president on this?
Yeah, what he said is that he is just coming on board. We should ask them and beg them to please give him a little more time. Most of the things that they mentioned, he is completely unaware of them. He is yet to be briefed about all those issues. But from what he heard from me, he also advised that we should channel all those issues to the Chief of Staff for him to look at them one after the other. So I believe within the next coming days, some concerted actions will be taken.
Still on the doctors' strike, patients at hospitals visited are calling on government to commence negotiations with National Association of Resident Doctors to avert what they see as a looming health crisis as a result of the strike. Aisha Ubali, who visited some hospitals, reports that patients are worried with this development.
FCT residents woke up to the strike action of National Association of Resident Doctors, and the patients are asking that relevant authorities mediate so that the two parties, the federal government and the association, can reach a consensus.
No, I can't relate, sir, but I heard it very well that they're going on strike today.
Skeleton, very little. The doctors, by now, no doctor at all. At this hour, no doctor.
Delkit District Hospital, which is operating a private-public partnership agreement, is not joining in the strike.
Because this is where they run to, because we don't go on strike, they come and get treatment. So the pressure is kind of much on us. There's nothing we can do.
And the story at Wuse General Hospital is different.
Here at the Wuse General Hospital, we spoke to some patients who said earlier in the morning they were attended to by doctors, but as at the time of filing this report, there is no doctor on ground to attend to patients. But the major problem or the major issue here is that the relevant department that was supposed to speak with the press said they did not get the official approval to speak with NTA.
The association among its demands include 2023 Medical Residency Training Fund, an upward review of commenced salary, restoration of 2014 value of the salary scale, among others. In Abuja, Aisha Ubali, NTA News.
A report reaching us says a meeting between the Presidential Council on Subsidy Removal and leadership of the organized labor unions to prevent the impending industrial action has ended with a glimpse of hope. Representatives of the federal government met the labor leaders behind closed doors for hours at the State House. The focus of the meeting was to finalize various interventions planned by the government to cushion the effect of subsidy removal on Nigerians. State House correspondent Musbal Danwahab reports that the parties have had a series of meetings since the implementation of the full deregulation of the petroleum sector, which gave rise to the subsidy removal on petrol and the resultant price increase of pump price. Now let's shift attention to global events. Vice President Kashim Shettima has arrived at St. Petersburg, Russia, to represent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Vice President will join other political and business leaders at the second Russia-Africa Summit and Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum, focused on strategizing to enhance relations between Russia and the African continent, among other benefits. Also, Vice President Shettima will participate in bilateral meetings with representatives of relevant Russian senior government officials and business leaders to discuss relations between Russia and Nigeria. He also received by the Nigerian ambassador to Russia, Abdullah Shehu, and a delegation from the Russian government. The vice president had earlier departed Rome, Italy, after attending the UN Food Systems Summit. Meanwhile, the second Russia-Africa Summit comes alive on Thursday in St. Petersburg, with Russia aiming to enhance cooperation with African countries while attempting to shore up reputation as a friendly nation. In spite of the ongoing conflict with Ukraine ahead of the summit, African journalists have been treated to a guided tour of the host city, otherwise known as Russia's cultural capital. Victor Azul was part of the tour.
St. Petersburg, home to about 5 million people. The ancient city, 350 years old, is notable for its religious and cultural tolerance. Little wonder it is called Russia's cultural capital. This may explain the choice of St. Petersburg as host city for the Russia-Africa Summit 2023. Besides deepening cooperation between the host Russia and African countries, knotty issues like the ongoing conflict in Ukraine are expected to feature prominently, given its impact on food security in Africa.
In view of the conflict, that support that Africa gets from Russia has also been affected. So if that can be resolved also, that would be a good thing.
Notwithstanding, Russia seems determined to tell its own story, and in a good way. To underline this, African journalists under the umbrella of the African Union of Broadcasting have been treated to a guided tour of St. Petersburg. The Bridge of Annunciation, the Spilled Blood Church, and the River Fontanka, with more than 20 bridges, are only some of the culturally significant sites visited.
This river is one of the largest in Russia, and besides it makes part of a very old and important trade route.
Regardless, the full story of the Russia-Africa Summit 2023 is likely to be told after the entire event is over, particularly as journalists were not allowed to film the accreditation process. From St. Petersburg, Russia, Victor Azul, NTA News.
And back home, the Department of State Service says it is investigating the incident involving its operatives and the Niger Correctional Service at the Federal High Court, Ikoyi, Lagos, on the 25th of July 2023, with a view to identifying the role played by specific persons, as well as undertaking disciplinary actions where necessary. In a statement, the DSS describes the incident as unfortunate and does not in any way reflect the professional disposition of the service. The statement further reiterates that the service did not and would never encourage the incident under reference, while affirming its respect for judiciary. The service assures that it remains focused on its national security mandates. As Staging Time, they say, saves 9. The activities of unknown gunmen in the southeastern part of Nigeria has resulted in loss of lives and led to a drop in Nigeria's gross domestic product as economic indices of the zone continue to nosedive. These have raised the anger of the Senate as it condemns in totality the sit-at-home order and the nefarious activities of the gang leader Simon Ekpa. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali brings us details.
In response to a motion from Senator Osita Izunaso, co-sponsored by presiding officers of the Senate and all the senators from the Southeast geopolitical zone, the Senate urged the federal government to collaborate with the government of Finland for the extradition of Simon Ekpa to Nigeria for prosecution.
If the activities of Simon Ekpa, who is issuing the illegal sit-at-home order, is not checked, he may succeed in corrupting the minds of Nigerian youths.
A situation where these boys will come out on the streets and dance naked, and there's no response to the mayhem that they are unleashing on the people. We must talk to our security people.
Over 7 trillion naira has gone because all the manufacturing houses are down in Aba.
The entire country has been suffering as a result of the menace of these unknown gunmen in the southeast, because it's affecting lives, affecting properties, and creating a state of fear that some of the citizens are not able to engage even in farming.
In another motion, Senate called on authorities to tackle the outbreak and prevent the spread of diphtheria in parts of Kaduna State.
The Kaduna State government has confirmed that the death toll from the diphtheria outbreak in the state has risen to 17, with 68 suspected cases identified.
And this disease can be transmitted through airborne or fluid contact.
The reason why we are seeing spikes of it now in some states and it's likely to spread is because we know that immunization rates have reduced.
Vaccine Production Institute in VOM, they have the capacity for them to produce vaccine.
Plenary featured the screening and confirmation of board members of the Northeast Development Commission as requested by President Tinubu. General Paul Tafa is the chairman, while Goni Al-Ali is the managing director.
With the issue of federal character, Mr. President has demonstrated that he recognizes the diversity of this country.
All the senators representing the Northeast in making sure that projects cited in their constituencies are actually followed and oversighted.
The confirmation of the board members of the Northeast Development Commission is the second approval of presidential appointees by the 10th Senate. The next list being awaited is that of the ministerial nominees, which will hopefully be announced by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, anytime soon. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Kudos to Mr. President. This came from the House of Representatives as members commended the unified foreign exchange rate in the country, maintaining that market forces are key determinants to forex. In tune with this, the lawmakers rejected a motion seeking federal government's measures to stabilize the Nigerian currency and foreign exchange rates. National Assembly correspondent Niger tells us how it transpired on the floor of the House.
The motion by Representative Benny La on the need to stabilize the Naira and foreign exchange rate stirred up a debate among members.
Which is actually a good policy. I have nothing against the unified exchange system. But government must put in place deliberate policies to stimulate economic growth in the country. We have to stimulate our own domestic production.
Is asking us to go against what we initially supported. And that is the issue of marginalization and the floating of the Naira, which all Nigerians supported.
My dear colleagues, let me ask one simple question. Are you telling us not to urge the federal government to take steps to stabilize the Naira?
The issue of exchange rate cannot be done by fiat. It has to be done by the market forces. You cannot say today Naira should be 200 or 100 Naira.
And the presiding officer puts the question.
Those in support of the prayers of this motion say aye. And those against say nay. The nays have it.
The House adopted several motions on roads rehabilitation and flood control measures in parts of the country.
A motion on the need to speed up rehabilitation of Bogan, Iwo, Oyo Road of Osun State.
Resolve and urge the Federal Ministry of Works to commence work on the dilapidated Amukpe Eku Agbo Federal Road.
To engage the Federal Ministry of Environment, Ecological Fund Office to come up with a lasting work plan to arrest the erosion and flooding problem experienced by the people of Apagatu Federal Constituency.
You need to address the menace of gully erosion in Oron and Ikeya community in Okobo local government area of Akwa Ibom State.
59 bills passed first reading at Wednesday's plenary, including the Broadcasting Practitioners Council of Nigeria and the Currency Change Procedure Bills 2023. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
And still on activities on the floor of the Green Chambers, members of the Header Committee on Joint Mesoma Ejikeme's investigation say they will continue to ensure that the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, gets all the support it needs to provide services in the conduct of successful examinations in the country. Chairman of the Header Committee stated this during an oversight function to the board's headquarters in Buari, Abuja. He applauds JAMB for putting in place necessary infrastructure that assisted in plugging in loopholes to reduce manipulation of Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME results.
We will definitely go back with a report to the Parliament, and we can see how we can strengthen the capacity of JAMB, and so that the JAMB will continue to provide quality services to the country.
The registration center, the timing of this, Zubera area, Sokoto State. So once we hold this, we know everything. Not that I don't know who registered me or something like that.
The House members also expressed satisfaction with the board's increased revenue generation, urging other government agencies to emulate the board. Now let's spice up the bulletin a bit. The popular saying, dress as you would love to be addressed, does not only apply to professional bodies. Countries across the world are also conscious of how members of their parliament appear. That is why every national parliament has a dress code that members must adhere to. In this report, Ignatius Nkwot takes a look at the approved dress code for members of the Nigerian National Assembly.
Valedictory days at the National Assembly are usually the most colorful of all days, an outpour of different attires of various shapes, colors, and traditions. It is usually a day of show-off, display of cultural and traditional regalia, but must be in conformity with the ethics of dressing in Parliament. Every day in Parliament is a serious day, and therefore legislators must be seen to be serious-minded as well. Their dress pattern remains a big issue. That is why it occupies a prominent position in the standing orders of the two chambers. Members of Parliament must not only be seen to be of good conduct, they must also reflect decency through their appearance.
The Assembly has a clear culture, stipulated by law. Even the Legislative Acts and Privileges Acts, gives you level of your privilege, and you will not abuse that privilege. Your privilege to enter the chamber without being harassed, without being stopped or being blocked, is a privilege. And for you to enter the assembly, you must dress properly.
Dress pattern for members of Parliament varies depending on the country. In some countries, the dress code for members of Parliament is formal or semi-formal. For Nigeria's National Assembly, the approved code of dressing is encapsulated in the standing orders of both chambers. Senators and House of Representatives members shall attend sittings properly dressed in non-traditional and other formal attires. For the men, they must put on a cap if putting on a traditional attire.
You are supposed to dress because assembly is a sacred place, and their code of conduct, and this code of conduct are embedded these rules. Even in the rules and order, they are all embedded in the place that how you should dress.
Wear your traditional dress with your cap. No religion or ethnic belonging prohibits people from wearing caps. For me, caps are very beautiful things to add on when you are fully dressed. And we came on board, we were schooled on the dress code.
Flouting this dress code, as seen on the floor of the House of Representatives on Wednesday, the 12th of July 2023, by a new member, is usually a serious issue and could attract sanctions from the Committee on Ethics and Privileges, ranging from suspension and exclusion from occupying chairmanship positions of a committee.
Maybe it is partly because the person or the member, so to say, did not take his time to know what formal and informal dressings are.
So because this one is the first offender, it should be forgiven. To my own, it should be forgiven and put in the proper place. Probably the current ethics chairman should also, walk straight to him and give him some enlightenment.
Well, improper dressing is not the only prohibition in the Code of Conduct for members of the National Assembly. They are also prohibited from chewing gum, smoking, or making noise while deliberations are ongoing in the chamber. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Thank you, Ignatius, for that report. I see cultured play and gorgeousness. Up ahead in News Extra, fighting zoonotic diseases and the state of abattoirs in the country. Diphtheria outbreak in Bauchi, plus community policing somewhere that is a good example. These and more in our next segment. To stay with us. Thanks for staying with the NTA. Now let's take a quick trip to St. Petersburg, where the Russia-Africa Summit is set to commence with Vice President Kashim Shettima representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports on expectations of Nigeria at the summit.
It was a busy day for some residents of the all-Russian capital, St. Petersburg, as they await to host the second Russia-Africa Summit. The Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum is targeting Africa by increasing its confidence in developing of manufacturing, agriculture, transportation, and the energy sector. Nigeria, one of the leading economies, is participating in the summit.
Nigeria has been an active leader in Africa's foreign policy, and the essence of the Vice President's representing the President at this summit is to re-establish that role that Nigeria has been playing in African politics. The summit will discuss a number of issues, including trade and investment, cooperation in science and technology, and security matters. All these issues affect Africa, affect Nigeria, and they are all development issues that Nigeria will lead discussion constructively on how Africa can engage with Russia, because we are going to emphasize our non-aligned position very clearly on any issue that is related to political decision.
The Russia-Africa Summit is also expected to support the aspirations of African states for socio-economic stability and progress. But what impact will that have on Nigeria?
Well, basically, the Vice President has come here with a package. He is specific and focused on what he wants to achieve. So he has determined what his agenda will be in terms of what can he take back to Nigeria in terms of investment in various sectors, including steel development, minerals development, agriculture, security cooperation, etc., etc.
The Russian-African Summit, which is expected to host more than 40 African countries, is expected to strengthen relationships between the African countries to be more multidimensional and comprehensive. From St. Petersburg in Russia, I'm Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
And back home, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it will continue to welcome suggestions that will improve the future conduct of elections and the electoral process in Nigeria. Chairman of the Commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, stated this while meeting with the media as part of INEC's post-2023 general elections preview meeting. Timothy Yusuf reports.
This meeting is in continuation of INEC's review of the 2023 general election. It is the 6th in the series of meetings, with the media taking 10 here. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu appreciated the long-standing partnership between the Commission and the media, soliciting more in the days ahead.
You remain one of our critical stakeholders, and beyond voter and civic education, we regularly consult you ahead of the formulation of policies or the implementation of activities. Media organizations are also accredited to cover elections and electoral activities.
Our commitment to public enlightenment and voter education remains unwavering. During the 2023 elections, we undertook the noble responsibility of educating citizens on their rights, the electoral process, and the candidates vying for various offices.
INEC also demanded plans for pending by-elections and preparations for the off-cycle governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi states, scheduled to hold on Saturday, 11th November 2023, from the media representatives in this meeting. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Away from electoral matters, the media, as a watchdog and fourth estate of the realm, is responsible for ensuring citizens get all necessary information about governance to enable it to see to the improvement and sustainability of government policies and programs. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemieson, stressed this at a media engagement with media executives to kickstart the 2023 Civil Service Week. Haman Jabani was there.
The 2023 Civil Service Week began with the head of the Civil Service of the Federation engagement with media executives to put them up to speed on the various policies under the Federal Civil Service Strategic and Implementation Plan 2021 to 2025 document, also known as FCCIP 25, in the last 1 year, so as to enable them to give significant updates and insights into how the office of the head of the Civil Service of the Federation fared while undergoing transformation. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemieson, took time to inform her guests about the 6 thematic areas of capacity building and talent management, performance management system, PMS, IPPIS, human resources, innovation, digitization, and staff welfare of the FCCIP 25, and what next.
It is therefore your duty as custodians and operators of the mass media to safeguard the stability and sustainability of people-oriented programs designed to bring about development and secure the well-being of Nigerians.
The media chiefs threw up issues that include the number of days for workers to come to office following the increase in fuel prices, salary increase and prompt payment, as well as the contributory pension scheme. What is the takeaway for the media chiefs?
I must say I'm very, very impressed because she was very open. She answered all the questions, no holds barred.
The theme for the long week celebration is digitization of work processes in the public service, a gateway to efficient resources utilization and national development. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Now let's talk innovation and funding. Research Institute needs to find innovative means of accessing funding for their researches, as government cannot be the sole provider of support, which is often capital intensive. This was the message of the Chairman Board of Trustees, Nigerian Institute of Medical Research Foundation, Babatunde Fashola, who was the former Minister of Works and Housing, when he and other board members saddled with the responsibility of improving funding visited the institute. Larry Bilay has details.
Although the final product of any research usually offers solution to pressing challenges, but the fact remains it is capital intensive, a reality which birthed Niger Foundation with the aim of tapping from the influence of notable individuals to amass funds for medical research. The Board of Trustees of Niger Foundation says a total of 150 million naira was raised in the last 3 years to support research fundings. This visit, led by the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Babatunde Fashola, and other members, is to evaluate whether the funds are utilized. The Director General of the Institute, Professor Babatunde Salako, commended the Board of Trustees for the gesture, promising not to relent in reaching out to every sector that could help in bringing in more funds for research.
For us as researchers, we need to reach out to many of these private facilities and foundations. Not necessarily to go and beg cap in hand, but to show them the connection between research and business.
The Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Niger Foundation, Babatunde Fashola, charged researchers to always see beyond the clinical benefits of their works, as they equally have capacity of stimulating socio-economic development.
We're sitting on a gold mine. Nigeria has the capacity to do all types of research that improves the human condition.
Researchers say with the mandate to conduct public health in Nigeria and to create structures to disseminate information on their findings, they've got their work cut out for them, and they need adequate funding to do this. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Thank you, Larry, and I must agree that innovation thrives and rules the world. We must embrace it and fund them. Now, talking health, meat is a protein and is very important for our human growth and development. However, the high cases of diseases associated with animals known as zoonotic has become a major concern in Nigeria in recent times. Diseases like tuberculosis, Lassa fever and anthrax are associated with animals and the consumption of unhealthy meats. Owing to this, our correspondent Musa Aliu takes a look at the state of some abattoirs in the Federal Capital Territory and Suleja in Niger State. Well, viewers' discretion is advised as some clips in this report could be disturbing.
Nigeria is rated as one of the countries with the largest meat consumption population in the world. It is estimated that about 14 million animals, including cows, goats and sheep, are slaughtered annually for the protein. Most animals are slaughtered at government-designated abattoirs.
It is expected that the animals meant for slaughter today will have to arrive about a week to the slaughter facility, and then there is a holding pen where different kind of examinations are being carried out by the state veterinary inspectors.
However, the practice in most abattoirs I visited does not conform with the laid down guidelines. This abattoir, located at Dede, a suburb of Abuja, lacks standard butchering tools, no hangers, and no running water. Animals are slaughtered and meat prepared in an unhygienic environment, despite the fact that veterinary officers are attached to the facility for inspection.
Because even if it is the government, there has to be a set out requirement and must be met before operations are carried out in these slaughter houses or abattoirs.
The sanitary condition of this abattoir located here in Suleja local government area of Niger State is a little bit better when compared with the one of Dede, despite the fact that more than 300 cows are being slaughtered here on a daily basis.
The abattoir is the biggest in Niger State, attending to more than 1,000 animals daily, serving Suleja and part of Abuja, Nasarawa and Kogi states. I observed that the building is too small to contain the large number of animals slaughtered daily. The head in charge of the abattoir, also known as Serkin Power, who took me around, says the facility needs to be upgraded.
We need additional borehole and upgrading of slaughter slabs and good roads.
We are trying to go into talks with other companies that they will come and build the abattoir, they will operate it, they will train the butchers, they will also train our workers, and later transfer it to the state.
From Suleja, I moved to Karo, abattoir, and the situation there is no different from that of Dede.
Whatever animal they bring, our veterinary officers are on ground, they must inspect those animals thoroughly to ensure that they are healthy, they have no trace of anthrax before they can be slaughtered.
Another source of concern to the abattoir is the manner meat is being conveyed to various locations. Bikes and boots of cars are used to convey the carcasses. Veterinary officers are of the view that Nigeria has a long way to go in preventing the spread of zoonotic diseases as long as abattoirs in the country remain unkept, lack of effective animal profiling and screening before slaughtering. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Health inspectors should live up to their responsibilities at our abattoirs. Very important. Now to security matters. The Nigeria police is always out to arrest and bring to book those who commit crimes. Now, imagine how the police will react when criminals target one of their own. Did I hear you say trouble? Of course, they will go all out to exert justice. Well, such is the scenario playing out in Borno State with the arrest of suspected hoodlums behind the daylight lynching of a police constable at Bayan quarters in Maiduguri, the state capital. Pauline Kujevana reports that many others were arrested for various crimes.
The more than 100 suspects were arrested with their exhibits through joint raids carried out at vulnerable points and hotspots within Maiduguri and environs. Amongst them are hard drug dealers, syndicates specialized in shop, housebreaking and snatching of handsets in commercial tricycles. In the case of culpable homicide, a number of suspects are in police nets, including those arrested for the killing of the police constable, Babagana Mala.
Sadly, too, one of us paid a supreme sacrifice on duty line. A group of hoodlums attacked force number 521281. Police Constable Babagana Mala.
The deceased policeman has sent for the purchase of hard drugs, which argument ensued, leading to his lynching.
Borno State Police Commissioner said the command remains resolute and committed to checking crime and criminalities, in addition to excesses of youth gangsterism in the state. While calling on parents to check the activities of their children, the commissioner said cases will be transferred to CID for discreet investigation and subsequent prosecution. No doubt the activities of Boko Haram really dropped drastically, but however, gangsterism is what is giving sleepless nights to residents of Maiduguri metropolis, which calls for collaborative effort by all and sundry to bring this to barest minimum. In Maiduguri, Paul Nkujevana, NTA News.
Bottom line, let's always shun violence and embrace peace, always. National security and food security are two areas that a nation that wishes to develop will not toil with. Any effort to enhance this is always welcome. So, it is good news to hear that UNESCO, the Institute of Agriculture Research and Training, and the Police Officers' Wives Association are collaborating to enhance national security through women in agriculture. To achieve this, a mission plan has been signed by the three parties. Francis Form will bring us details.
This signing of the Mission Action Plan by the parties involved signals a new breadth of women's contribution in substantial attainment of the United Nations global goals before 2030. This is with emphasis on Goal 2, which aims at achieving zero hunger and providing solutions to support the federal government to mitigate food insecurity in the country.
It therefore becomes important to seek another means to increase agricultural efficiency, promote sustainability, and ensure food security for our growing population.
We are optimistic that this transformative approach will enhance the acceleration of past progress made by putting us on track towards achieving the goal of strengthening smallholders, women livelihood, and resilience in Nigeria.
Wife of the acting IGP, Elizabeth Egbetokun, said, POA is positioned to ensure young women attain the agricultural goals.
This synergy is so important to us because it will give our women a competitive advantage to embed high quality exposure to becoming more productive for the society, and most importantly, strategically enhance national security through mass involvement of women in the agricultural sector.
We at Power Widows will give our zenith support to mitigate the food insecurity in Nigeria.
The engagement is a follow-up to the inauguration of the Young Women in Agriculture under UNESCO's Strategic Intervention Program. Francis from NTA News.
Now is the time to end hunger, and we are proud to know that our women are already moving. Let's take another breather and then bring you the move aimed at ensuring that students become business-oriented upon graduation. Details when we return. To stay with us. You're still watching News Extra on NTA, and it's time for some financial reports. Our businessman Musa will be our guide. Musa, what's trending?
Well, let's find out. The Central Bank of Nigeria says more than 20 million people have so far registered and have the e-Naira wallet, but the level of activity on the digital platform remains low. The acting governor, Folashodun Shonubi, said the Apex Bank will continue to review and improve the digital currency to boost its acceptability.
We continue to learn, and we continue to tweak, and we continue to change the model of people. So we continue to talk to them. The volumes increase, and we learn with each passing day. We are reviewing the model,
And we think soon, definitely before the end of the year, you'll see significant growth and changes, because the feedback we've gotten from the public and the marketplace has been distilled, and we're listening to them, and we believe it's going to have an impact on the adoption, and then maybe we'll have less new Naira notes to print.
Removal of fuel subsidy and unification of the foreign exchange rate is the right step in the right direction, as the reversal of these policies by the President has resulted in much higher revenues for all tiers of government. Speaking on the President's economic agenda, Director General of the Debt Management Office, Patience Oniha, said Nigeria's debt stock to GDP ratio at below 25% is among the lowest globally, while debt service to revenue ratio, which in 2022 reached 100%, is relatively high and reduces the fiscal space available to government. This indicates that the issue lies with the country's revenue. She said it's imperative that the federal government confront revenues and take decisive actions to further strengthen economic streams, income streams from all sources. Now to capital market. The equities market closed midweek trading session in negative territory as investors lose 186.8 billion naira. The NGX all-share index declined by 0.46% to close at 65,687.16 basis points. At the end of today's trading session, a total of 500 million shares in 7,345 deals worth 7.1 billion were traded. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is at 35.8 trillion naira. That concludes business news. News Extra continues with Elizabeth.
Thank you, Musa, and nice doing business with you. For a very long time now, Nigerian university graduates have been carrying their certificates about, looking for jobs that are grossly in short supply. This is a trend the University of Abuja has vowed will not happen to its products. The plan is that none will leave the institution without registering a business at the Corporate Affairs Commission. The Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Abdul Rashid Nala, dropped this hint at a media briefing on efforts of the institution to take its products off the labour market and reduce the pressure on government after graduation. Abdullah Musa Suleja tells us more.
Although acquiring an education to the extent of obtaining certificate is not principally to get employed, it is for the person who got the knowledge to be educated enough, be enlightened and well equipped to carry out day-to-day life activities. This unfortunately is not the impression of majority in developing countries, particularly as certificates are obtained to look for placement, especially in government-owned establishments. But with the surge in population, vacancies are no longer enough to absorb the number of graduates being churned out by tertiary institutions. This is what the University of Abuja wants to revert. The institution has gone into strong collaboration with private sector, especially industries, to equip the students with skills to empower them to de-emphasize white-collar jobs.
Our university is now having a solid relationship with industry. We are doing the same thing for nuclear engineering because we are also working with the Atomic Energy Commission of Nigeria. More than 1,000 students have registered their companies with CAC in this university.
The university believes that apart from impacting academics, it is also mandatory for students to partake in the university industry practical programs, which are closely monitored to be alive to realities of life while on campus.
With opportunities to even practice the companies that they register, both within university and outside university, creating wealth.
On insecurity and indiscipline, the university has proclaimed zero tolerance. Already, 2 academic staff have been dismissed on account of sexual harassment.
When you have seen your university expelling people, when you have seen university presenting opportunity for you to report, that students will still keep quiet.
The university authority is imploring students to voice out sexual abuse from any member of the university community. Abdullahi Musa Sleja, NTA News.
I must say that's a laudable step to be emulated by all tertiary institutions. A reading revolution has been canvassed for improving the reading culture, particularly among youth in Nigeria. This resonated at the launch of the book titled A General and a Gentleman, The Last 20 Years, during the annual Samoma lecture series in Abuja. Abdusalam Jibril reports.
When he drove around in Nigeria, went to the bookstores, he was appalled at the poor reading culture.
Tobe Moma, author and son of the late Major General Sam Moma, emphasizing the need for cultivating reading culture in Nigeria. Along with this, the spotlight was beamed on the judiciary and the rule of law as part of discussions at this third lecture series during the unveiling of the book, A General and a Gentleman, The Last 20 Years.
The story of the book, the Sam Moma, A General and a Gentleman, The Last 20 Years, chronicles his 1999 to 2020 business, family, and national outlook.
For me, the existence of the people and our existence as a nation is intricately connected to our ability to dispense justice.
It's only through criticism and questioning that we can drive improvement and draw a bit nearer to perfection.
An avid reader and prolific writer with 12 published books, the late General Sam Moma, former Minister of Science and Technology from 1994 to 1999, placed priority on education, providing resources through the Sam Moma Foundation towards supporting education in Nigeria. In Abuja, Abdul Salam Jibril, NTA News.
Still on education, there is ability in disability. That is what we all know. So, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities wants a review of the core curriculum and standards for the education of persons with disabilities in Nigeria. The aim is to provide education tailored to meet the specific needs of these persons with disabilities to bring out their abilities. Details of this report will come in subsequent bulletin.
Quality and inclusive education in Nigeria is considered a critical issue, especially for persons with disabilities. To achieve this access and inclusivity, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities is interfacing with stakeholders in the education sector to appraise and review the core curriculum of academic standard, CC-MAS, as well as bridge existing gaps in the sector.
The Commission will continue to do everything possible within our opportunity to enforce the inclusiveness of education in Nigeria. We are touching this curriculum today. Tomorrow we are going to review the curriculum of architects and civil engineers as well, because it touches on accessibility for persons with disabilities. The National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, in collaboration with relevant stakeholders today, have produced what we call the National Accessibility Regulation.
First objective of the Universal Basic Commission is to pursue program of inclusiveness. It is in that light that various universities have opened the Department of Special Needs Education so that they can cater for the different categories of learners with disabilities. Now the CC-MAS came and distorted everything because it has taken 70% of the course content to be provided in each of the disability areas.
The National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, as an institution established by the Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018, Section 17, 18, 19, and 20 of the law, makes it clear that education for persons with disabilities shall be inclusive. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji Ugwanyi, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Gufan, for that report. We'll take a break now. More to come when we return. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Official statistics indicate that 500 high-capacity buses are needed to be deployed on a daily basis to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy removal in Abuja. the nation's capital city. This is in a bid to address the prevailing transportation challenges faced by residents of the Federal Capital Territory. In this special report, Onozo Yakubu evaluates the FCT administration's commitment to meeting this requirement.
From the people's perspective, the time to ensure total overhaul of the FCT transportation subsector to ensure efficient service delivery is now. From the Mararaba-Nyanya axis to Gwagwalada, Wari and Suleja in Niger State, the harrowing experience residents face during weekdays, especially at rush hours, are seen as commuters spend hours waiting to access means of transportation.
It's terrible because some people don't even go to work for 5 days anymore. Some people have started going to work for 3 days. Some have not. They've decided to even stop going to work.
If they provide enough buses to easing the suffering of the masses, it will address some of all those things.
A lot of people are in the satellite towns or villages, and they come into the city center to work. If you have buses on those routes, that will help in a way.
But the narrative is changing, with more fleets of high-capacity buses being deployed on the FCT routes by the Abuja Urban Mass Transport Company to cushion the effect of subsidy removal.
We are working around the clock. When I came in about a month or two ago, we barely have about 30-35 buses operating, fully operational, that are, provide these services. What I can tell you as of today, we deploy an average of 50 vehicles on daily basis that are actually meeting the demands of our daily commuters. We are working around the clock to resuscitate some of them that have been down for quite some time.
We have a deliberation with about 5 companies that are able and willing to inject higher capacity buses, and we have examined their proposal. Some of them is very viable. So because of that, I can assure you that providing that enabling environment.
The equation on the lips of many residents is that when will this fleet of high capacity buses lying fallow at the AMTCO headquarters will be put to use for the benefit of residents who commute on daily basis to and from the city center for their daily businesses. But with the commitment and the work ongoing here at the workshop indicates that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Onozo Yakubu.
Indeed, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Still staying on road matters, do you know that commercial drivers now have daily prayers? Yes, you heard me right, daily prayers. This became necessary in the face of increased pump price of fuel due to subsidy removal. So as a commercial driver, if you don't know about this prayer, you might need to learn it, at least to keep hope alive. After all, we are told religion is the opium of the people. Oyeyemi Ajayi will let us into the content of this prayer.
No doubt, the removal of fuel subsidy has been applauded as the right step in the right direction, but the effect is being felt by many, especially operators of the transportation sector. For commercial drivers, their means of livelihoods hang in the balance as they depend on fuel for business.
We are carrying Abuja 15,000, but now where they put us now, we are carrying 22,000. Lagos, the same price, 22,000.
And before it transport from Abuja to Benin Kebbi is 10,000 naira. Now it's 15,000 naira. Like Zaria, we are carrying 4,000 naira. Now we are 6,000 naira. Kaduna is 3,000. Now it's 4,500. Kano is 6,000 before, but now it's 9,000.
Abdulaziz Abdullahi is a commercial driver in Abuja metropolis. He tells me the way things are going for him and how tough it is now to make profits.
By that time, if you buy fuel of 6,000 naira, you get 24,000. That 24,000, if you carry 6,000 naira, then you get 12,000 naira gain. But now, if you buy fuel of 31 or 30,000, you make 35,000.
11,000 naira filled up my car. It's a Corolla.
It takes me about 10 days. But now I have to spend close to 32,000 naira to fill my tank. And it doesn't take me up to a week.
You come out for house. If you don't get passenger enough for park, if you want to work out, you just lose. Even the money to go out, you beg before you look for to go back to house.
Perhaps this is why commercial drivers resort to prayers before commencing their daily activities.
This fuel I bought for 7,000 naira in UD King filling station. Father, my God, I pray that this fuel gauge will not move from this place until Sunday in His name.
One can only say amen to that prayer and hope things get better sooner than expected. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Oyeyemi, I know God answers prayers. All right, let's take our last break. Sports and other reports will be up when we return. Glad to know you're still there. President Bola Tinubu, on behalf of Nigerians, extends best wishes to the Super Falcons as they prepare to face Australia in the second group match at the FIFA Women's World Cup, Australia-New Zealand 2023. President Tinubu, like other football-loving Nigerians, takes immense pride in the Super Falcons' impressive performance in the opening match against Canada, a formidable opponent and the reigning Olympic champion. The president firmly believes that the upcoming match on Thursday will be a thrilling encounter that will culminate in victory for the Nigerian team, acknowledging the Super Falcons' remarkable achievements as a dominant force in women's football in Africa. President Tinubu is confident that the blending of new talents with seasoned veterans will propel Nigeria's success in women's football to even greater heights in this tournament. In other news, the week-long burial ceremony for late Lieutenant General Oladipo Dia continued with his lying in state at his Lagos residence, where family and friends paid their last respect before his remains will be taken to his final resting place in Odogbolu, Ogun State. Larry Belay has details.
The late Lieutenant General Donaldson Oladipo Yeyinka Dia, described as patriotic individual by family and friends, will also be remembered for his immense contribution to the service of God, family, and nation. His participation in the African Lads and Lasses Brigade in Nigeria and the Republic of Benin, where he stirred up the ship as the second national president of the brigade, was also commended.
Playing the father role that years that sees that you must preach discipline to them, and they listen to the word of God, and they become something in life, which this is particular things we are missing from the general himself.
He used to say, the first thing you need to do is to discipline yourself first. If you are disciplined, the whole society will be disciplined, because the society starts from you.
Close associates say he was a man of peace.
He was a very supportive person to the movement.
It's the day 4 of the burial ceremony for late Lieutenant General Oladipo Dia. Here at his home at Adekule Faji Road is the lying in state ceremony going on right now, where friends and family are paying their last respect to a man they describe not only the general for the nation, but a general to the family.
General Dia is a complete gentleman. General Dia is a complete family man. And he's like a brother I didn't have.
The funeral service continued on Thursday, 27th July 2023, with a commendation service at the African Methodist Evangelical Church in Lagos State, while on Friday 28th and Saturday 29th July 2023, Christian will keep at his residence, Okearemo, Odeogbolu, and the funeral service on Saturday at St. Paul's Anglican Church, Odeogbolu, Ogun State. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the remains of Haja Zikratu Mustafa, mother to Rashida Olagujo Mustafa, Assistant Director News, NTA Headquarters, has been laid to rest according to Islamic rites. Usman Zubero, who covered the funeral prayer, reports.
The funeral prayer of late Haja Zikratu Mustafa, held at Central Mosque Abuja, led by the senior Assistant Imam, Dr. Shehu Usmanu Muhammadu, had in attendance family members, relation, and top management staff of NTA headquarters Abuja. Late Hajia Zakiratu Mustafa died midnight at the National Hospital Abuja at the age of 73 following a protracted illness. She was described a caring mother and devoted Muslim.
She's a mother. She's a mother to all and a very kind-hearted woman, a believer and very sincere.
We are hopeful that Al-Jannah Firdaus will be her place of abode, inshallah.
Late Hajia Zakiratu Mustafa left behind 6 children and many grandchildren. Among them is Rashida Olagunji Mustafa, ADN Network, NTA headquarters Abuja. She has been buried according to Islamic rites in Abuja, Osmansville, NTA News.
And may the soul of the departed rest in peace. And that's News Extra today. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori. To have a wonderful night.